desires that you have for the people you're working with and the outcome you want to help them achieve, we match those with visuals.
Welcome back. Today we have Shaina Longstreet in the house. I am so excited to have you here with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm good. My cat just jumped up to join us, so you see her popping in. That's Cadence.
I
I'm
love
doing
it.
lovely. How are you today?
I'm doing well. So, do you have one cat or more?
Yes, just the one.
Okay. I'm kind of a crazy cat lady. Not really. We have two, but they're siblings. We got one and from the pound, and we just couldn't bear with the thought of leaving the sibling behind. So my husband went back and got it. And two cats are a handful, but they're both
Oh,
so
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, we had her brother, but he actually passed away a year ago,
Oh
um, like yesterday. So she's
wow.
been all by herself for a year, but we got the siblings. I get it. They were just so bonded, so you got
Yeah.
to get them both.
Yeah, absolutely. They're bonded and they're similar in ways, but they're also yet so different. Just like
Yeah.
siblings, I guess.
Yep.
Well, Shayna, I am so thankful you're here because I feel like you are going to be able to really share a lot with our audience when it comes to things like branding and showing up in their own space as really their
Mm.
authentic self, right? Like we hear that phrase around a lot, but it's so true. Could you share with us for a minute what it is that you do and how you help people?
Yeah, so I'm a graphic designer, branding specialist, and a Squarespace website designer. And I help therapists, coaches, and space holders harness the power of who they are with what they do so that they can sell more and serve more and show up online with confidence. My kind of flag in the ground is around this concept of identity led branding, where we really are focusing on who we are as individuals first, because who you are is your biggest differentiator. And so what I want to do is enhance and polish and showcase that through my graphic design um, process. And then that allows people to show up online for their business so much better with such clarity and confidence. So that's kind of the magic of what I do. My business is called Dawn and Delight Creative, and I've been in business for 8 years now. And being able to kind of explore this concept of like what is a brand with so many different clients over the years has really helped me develop my process, my signature service, and it just is like a magic that happens in the connections that I form with my clients. And I like to say that branding is allowing someone else to see the truth of you and then reflect it back to you. Because so many times it's hard to read the label from inside the jar. And we get so close to our businesses and so in it. I have the hair stuck to my lip. Sorry, cat. We get so insular and focused on what we're doing that sometimes we just can't even see the label that should be on the jar. And I can come in and say, this is what the label should look like on your jar. And you're like, you're right. That's what it's supposed to feel and look and act like. So yeah, that's kind of me, my work in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that. Being kind of like that mirror, showing people what's coming. Yeah, being out away out of
Mm-hmm.
that inner side. Like, yeah, we can only see so much, and so we do need other people to look at what we're doing and give us feedback for that.
Yeah. Just
You
that outside perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned a word that I'm not real familiar with. You said space holder. So what do you mean by
Oh,
a space holder in this capacity?
yeah. So that is one of my favorite ways to describe the type of person that I love to work with. It's someone who holds space for others. So therapists are the first ones that come to mind because they really do hold space, allow people to process, talk through their feelings using different modalities, but really they're just holding the container, the safe space for others to be present in. And other service providers and clinicians also do the same thing. Really, like you think about an experience going to a massage therapist and you feel, you know, safe enough to relax and let your nervous system relax. And so they're holding space for you there. And so the people who understand that will catch that phrase
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, she gets it. Because it really is just a different type of interacting with another person, to be able to hold space for them in that way. So I love to hold space for the space holders.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And then and the whole branding and understanding your ideal client and using the words that they would relate to. I think that's an
Yeah.
exceptional phrase to use.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thanks for teaching me something there too. So how did you get into all of this? Have you always been an artist? Have you always, kind of gravitated to this, or tell us about that?
Yeah, I've always had an artistic streak. My mom is an artist. But my kind of first foray into, what led me here, was in the world of scrapbooking. Actually, my very first job in high school was at a scrapbook store. My home ec teacher quit teaching, opened a scrapbook store in my little town, and hired me. I was one of her first employees. And so just the exposure to patterns and words and colors and the magic of that all coming together to say something really concise and dynamic and emotive, that's where I learned the magic of that. And then I was able to take that and apply it to I actually started designing things online for other scrapbookers who had blogs. And so it was like scrapbooking online. Awesome. So then I was like blogger blogs, like Blogspot, you know, back in the day, like we're talking 2007, 2008 here. And that plus, okay, so that's like one side of it. Then the other side is in high school, my senior project was to start a photography business. And I'd always loved photos. And, that plays in with scrapbooking too, of course.
Right.
And so, senior year of high school, start this photography business. And then I kind of always had it on the side. I'd shoot a few weddings, shoot some senior photos, little things along the way. And then in 2014, I was like, I really want to make a go of this, like make a real business and have this like be my thing.
Ah,
And I discovered Scott and Elise from Hey Sweet Pea, and they were launching their signature course, which is called My Own Irresistible Brand. And it was all about building a brand and starting a new business. And one of the first introductory sections was like, what are all of your skills? Just like list all the skills out. And then what of those skills could you monetize? And so I went in thinking I'm going to have this photography business. And I came out the other side of that module realizing actually I could help a lot more people if I did design instead. And so it just like magically worked together with the photos and the scrapbooking and all the things. So I came out of their program with my design business and I haven't looked back.
that is so neat. I am always so fascinated to hear about other people's, business journey and how they got to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so neat. So when you started, okay, so you had this idea, you're like, okay, I can actually like help some people here. What were the first steps? Like, I know we're looking deep into the past here, 8 years.
Yeah.
So you said, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a while, but I think it's good because there's some of our viewers are brand new or just starting business as well. And
True. Yeah.
looking back at that time, what were some of your first steps in getting started?
Well, Instagram was kind of just kicking off at that point too. And so it was really a unknown commodity. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Probably.
No.
a good resource. I don't know.
Okay, we'll go. It was an unknown entity. It wasn't what
Entity.
it is now, And so it was just like, oh, this is a cool like thing online that I could use to connect with people. And that was really where all of my marketing started, was like, I want to connect with as many people as I can. And actually one of the core like visual elements of my own brand is the ampersand, the and symbol.
Yeah.
And that really, to me, is like the visual representation of connection. And so that's always been the core of how I approach doing business, making connections and then those connections leading to other connections. And it's not just like networking, but actually forming relationships and getting to know people and getting invested in their business and seeing how I genuinely could be of service with and beyond the services that I offer. So that's been my approach from the start, and it served me well.
Yeah, that's great. So are you still, is Instagram your primary place of online business still right now, or?
Yeah, I use Instagram a lot, and I also regularly email my email list. That feels kind of, more like, thanks for letting me in your inbox. I'd love to chat with you a little bit more intimately in that way. Um, so those are kind of my two main focuses right now. Plus, just doing things like this, like having conversations with people and sharing, my identity led branding approach on summits and on podcasts and things, and getting in front of other people's audiences who, are those space holders who are going to resonate with my message and my approach. So for people just starting out, that's a really powerful tool to make connections and get in front of more, other people's audiences too.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so you mentioned the emails kind of like you've been welcomed into their home, so to speak, right? So
Yeah.
how do you think that, if you were to give some advice on how to market on Instagram versus inside of email, what would that look like? Can you dive a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, I think my biggest Instagram tip is make sure you always have some sort of call to action.
Mm,
Because
good.
if they're not interacting in some way with your post, with your story, with your reel, then the algorithm doesn't find it relevant and it's not going to share it to other people. So even if it's something as simple as like double tap on this post if it resonates with you, or like hit the share button and send it to your bestie, that little things like that, they don't necessarily have to actually leave a comment or you know spend a lot of time there, but have little things where they're just like, oh yeah, I can interact with that. Oh yeah, that's a poll I can take really quick. Oh, a little slider thing, fun. So get people interacting with your content on Instagram. That's my biggest tip.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And it goes very well with just you and connection, like what you stand for,
Yeah.
right? We have those strong calls to action, right? Then we can have better connection with people. Yeah, I think that's fabulous advice. And there really is a difference between showing up online more to the cold market, right? Like you're doing more sort of lead generation there. And then the email is, yeah, it's more intimate. Like people have given you their email, they're letting you through the door. Hopefully it's not going to like a spam,
Yeah.
like one of those
Spam
fake
folder.
emails, like this is the email I always give for my freebies type thing. Right.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, even if that was the case, like people find value over seeing you show up over and over again. And so
Yeah.
um yeah, I think that's really smart. There is a difference in how we show up on different platforms. Now, I have a community. I don't know if you have a Facebook community at all. Do you have
I
one?
don't. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, so I do, and I also have an email list and such, but that's partly why I really like the community, because somewhere when people are coming in there, it's like they're there for a reason.
Yep.
They've
They're there on purpose.
yeah, yeah. And so the way that you get to chat with these people is so different. And
Yeah.
more about like what they're struggling with, what they need help with, and you can help them that way. So I view the email.
Think conversations like that happen for me in the DMs a lot.
Yeah.
So the DMs can kind of be that like that center line where from that conversation, then you can invite them to email list. Yeah, that's a good like midline point.
Yeah. Do you use a lot of freebies or lead magnets?
I don't. I just have one right now. And it's been very effective because I think it resonates with, my type of people on a really deep level. The idea is discovering your deepest why, because I believe that actually I have this quote that's on the page that just sums it up so beautifully. Let me
Yeah.
read it to you. It's from Farnoosh Brock, and it says, "Make it a certainty that you live in alignment with who you are, not by accident or luck, but rather on purpose, by intention, and by design."
Mm.
And so I think that that's just such a beautiful way to approach business and to approach life. And so if we get to those deep underlying core whys, our deep values first, and build our brand on top of that foundation, then it's going to have legs, and it's going to feel easy, and it's going to attract the right people to you. And so my freebie is like a workbook kind of exercise to get you to your deepest why, in a way that you can then express and share with the right kind of people in different places, like on your website or your bio, little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Did you share the link with that with me? Because we should totally leave that inside of the show notes.
Yeah, I can send it over, but it's
Okay.
dawnanddelight.com/deepest dash why.
Deepest dash Y. Okay. I will make sure that gets in the show notes because that it sounds like a terrific tool that people really should have. And it kind of relates to the next question I had for you,
Okay.
which is giving. Okay. So you're an expert at what you do. So what would be like your number one or two like top tips for people getting started on uncovering their brand identity, I guess? Maybe you probably
Mhm.
know a better way to ask that question, with the verbs that I use, but or words that I use. But yeah, what would be some of your tips for people getting started?
Yeah, so I I want to clarify, because I think that there's a big misconception that your logo is your brand,
Oh yeah. Oh, talk about that. Yeah.
you know? And they think, "Oh, I'll just grab a logo off of
Canva.
Etsy, or I'll just whip something up on Canva, or I'll go to Fiverr or whatever."
Yeah.
But what happens when you do that is you're not the only one whose logo is going to look that way, first of all. And it's going to feel like it doesn't fit you in 8 months,
Mhm.
because it's not built on the proper foundations. So a lot of times I see even if someone was to hire a brand designer, I see a lot of them starting with, who's your ideal client? What are your ideal clients like? What are the colors that your ideal clients like? And it's very outward focused, and making decisions about colors and fonts and patterns and whatnot based on, oh, I know that these people are going to like that. But then, maybe the trends change, and maybe you're like, okay, actually I really don't like pink. Like, I just don't like pink, and I'm tired of seeing it on all of my stuff everywhere. And so if instead of focusing just on the surface level of stuff and the outward focus things, we shift internal first and think about, like we were mentioning, your personal values, and then uncovering what that deep why is. And then what we get to do is match those emotions, those feelings, those desires that you have for the people you're working with, and the outcome you want to help them achieve. We match those with visuals. And so my first step whenever working with clients is to build a mood board. And we collaborate inside Pinterest, because that's just, an easy way to collect imagery.
Absolutely.
Um, but I say, don't go into Pinterest looking for like other people's logos or other people's brand boards and pinning those. That's not what it's about. I want you to think like, my core value is joy. What visuals support the word joy? What makes me think of joy? So I'm pulling images of people laughing. I'm pulling images of a little girl dancing.
Yeah.
I'm looking for, like an incredible sunset and palm trees and things that mean joy to me, right? And so that's what gets built into this mood board. And then from there, the decisions are made about what colors to pick, what fonts we pick, because the mood board becomes this like touchstone where we can always refer back to it. So many times I see people, oh, I got this great mood board for my designer into this folder and I'm never looking at it again. But I always get my mood boards turned into mouse pads for my clients.
Oh,
so
that's
that
neat.
so they can always have it handy and always, have it to check. Like, is this graphic I just made on Canva really quick? Is it really on brand? Let me just check with this tool that I have handy to make sure that everything is consistent and easy. And so that's the beauty of this identity-led branding, is that when we start from within, trends can change, you know, the people you're helping might even pivot. Like maybe you decide you actually like this kind of service a little bit better than the thing you used to do. And if your brand is built with this strong foundation, it can pivot and grow with you long term. And it won't get to the point where it feels like a shirt that's too small or like you're trying to shove yourself into a jacket. It'll just be like, this is my favorite outfit. This is how we're doing it. This is my business. Welcome.
Yeah.
That's what a killer brand should make you feel.
Oh man, it sounds so refreshing, right? Instead of so
Yeah.
focused on like trying to show up a certain way that they want to, like we think that people want to see us show up in, right? Or
Right.
our clients
Yes.
see us. Instead, yeah, we're showing up as our confident self. Like how could better that business feel any better than that? That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a beautiful service. I think it's
Thanks.
great. Yeah. So so you have an interesting take on the design world. You are hard of hearing in one of your ears, right?
Yes.
So how has that played into what you are doing and how you're helping people?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I was born deaf. There's like nothing in there. So like even a hearing aid wouldn't help. There's just that the functionality isn't there. And my mom didn't realize until I was about 2, and she was sitting on my deaf side, and she went to whisper to me, and I turned my head all the way around so she could whisper in my good ear. And she was like, I think we should get this looked at.
Yeah,
um,
that's insightful
so
in itself. Yeah.
yeah. And so it was just one of those things where I adapted really easily, and even from a young age was able to, choose where I sit at a dinner table so that I can hear conversation. And I learned to read lips unintentionally. Didn't know I did that, but apparently I read lips. But the thing about it is I I get the concept of needing to be understood and to understand. Because when there's a disconnect between, someone saying something and me comprehending it, that it's a disconnect. I'm already signing. It's this disconnect happens, right? And so when I was 18, I decided I want to learn sign language so that I can feel more able to communicate with others and have access to this beautiful community of people who are also deaf and hard of hearing. And so I made that choice for myself, and it truly was life changing. ASL, American Sign Language, is definitely my heart language. Like I can hear okay. I love music. I love,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not that I don't like English, but there's just something so special and expressive about sign language that it touches my heart more than I realized it could. And so I feel like this connection between learning sign language and struggling to understand and be understood translates to the design world so clearly, because that's what we're doing, is we want our businesses to be understood by others in a
Mm.
way that motivates them to take action, in a way that makes them want to work with us or buy from us or use our product or come back and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Whatever it is, we have this core desire to be understood. And so with design, I'm able to help people do that, to be understood in a way that, it intentionally speaks the language that your ideal clients will resonate with. So when I get to work with people on their brand, it's all about communication and connection. So I get to like be the interpreter. That's something that I've been able to do for, right? Like I've been able to do that inside of my church, actually, like when people would come that were deaf, and it was like, oh, can you interpret the talk or whatever into ASL for these people? And that is just, it's such a cool, what's the word I'm looking for, like opportunity
Yeah.
to be able to clarify something for someone else who wouldn't be able to understand it. And that's exactly what I get to do as a designer, is like, these are the words, these are the phrases, and I can take them in my head one way, and then they come out my hands in a completely different language. And I get to do that same thing with graphic design, with curating what a brand can look like and how it can have an impact on people with the colors and the fonts and the patterns and the photos and how it all comes together. So yeah, design is a language, just like ASL and English are a language. And so I get to use my interpreting skills both ways.
Yeah, that's such a great way to explain it. I don't think I ever even told you my husband is a graphic designer as well.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, I mean his position kind of changed. He's now doing like videography, but he still does graphic design and he's
Hmm.
done it for years. And so like sometimes we'll be watching a show and the beginning scene will come up, like the not the credits at the end, but like the intro will come up.
Yeah.
We'll have like all the different fonts. And then
Yeah.
there's one that's different. And he's like, they did that totally wrong. Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that way?
I just went and saw the Barbie movie with my friend 2 nights ago. And we're watching the intro credits, and I was like, oh, that's a good font. Look at that E, how that E is shaped. Oh, I wonder what that font is. I like made a mental note to go research it later because the E was so fantastic. Only graphic designers.
Oh, I love that. Well, when I was a kid, my most favorite thing to do was print shop. Do you remember print shop?
Hmm.
Okay, I was like, I don't know how old you are, but yeah, print shop was like Canva back then. You designed
Right.
all these things and you printed out these posters that you could color or whatever. And
Yeah. So
yeah,
fun.
yeah, I feel like if I knew that there was such a thing called graphic designer, if I knew that back then, I probably would have gone that direction. Instead, I went as a
Yeah.
teacher. I taught for 10 years. And then now I'm still teaching, just in
Now you're
different
still teaching.
capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's so cool. I think it's an incredible profession, and you're right. It is like a different language. And I think that's also why, we're gifted in so many ways. God gives us all differently. But that's also like why we need each other. I mean, I can
Yeah.
do some I think decent stuff in Canva, but I really don't know anything about graphic design. And so like thankfully my husband's here, or thankfully I know people like you, right? So I can ask
Right.
questions or have you do it for me instead of having to feel like I have to do everything on my own, because it's not my language, it's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's such a good way to say it. It's not, I like to say no, it's not your zone of genius.
Yes.
You have a zone of genius, and your time is best spent doing work inside your zone of genius. And so as business owners, we do have to wear a lot of hats. Like, don't get me wrong. We're, especially solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we're on our own. We've got, the accounting hat and the marketing hat and the doing the business hat and the networking hat and all the things, but you know what your zone of genius is. And so if you have the opportunity to outsource some of these things to people who do work in the thing, the thing that you're not as good at, it's their zone of genius, then that's an amazing connection and partnership to be able to make.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and it can free you of so much time and energy, and even just brain
Yep.
space. Even just brain space.
Yes.
I'm so excited right now. I just started an apprenticeship program. So I have 4 incredible ladies that are coming in. Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's gonna
so
be
exciting.
yeah, they're going to be learning like all the back end of what an online coaching business is going to look like. And then the hope is that by the end of the 5 months, like they're going to have all their systems in place, ready to launch strong. And it's super exciting. And so it's exciting for them. It's exciting for me because I've never led in this way. And I admit there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
nervousness or like um like mastering my mindset because things have been popping up for sure. But at the same time, I'm really excited because I get to see what their zone of genius is. And the
Mm-hmm.
things that maybe I'm not, that they are, like they can step up and help with that too.
Yeah.
Which is also, part of the mission of this podcast is, we all have our different gifts, our different zones of genius, and having a place where people can come together and ask questions and learn, like, if they don't have money yet to invest in a graphic designer, what are some tips that they could have, understanding their own desires and personality and all that, and how it
Yep.
fits. It's really important. So
Yep.
that was a big
And
mom.
what something you said made me um think of something that's been on my heart a lot lately, and that's the legacy that we're leaving for the female entrepreneurs that are going to come after us.
Yeah.
Because I think about the pandemic, right? So, who knows, 20 years from now, they'll be like, oh my goodness, another pandemic. What did the people in 2020 do?
Yeah.
They navigate this, right? Because we are the first generation of female online business owners, and the things that we're doing now, the decisions we're making now, is going to impact the industry for generations. And it's just so incredible to get to think about the position that we have now, and if we can pour into each other and make that the from the ground floor up, um, we'll all be better for it.
Yeah. So true. Legacy. Ding, ding, ding. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, so what are some of your goals? What are some things that you're working on, moving into this next year? What are you hoping to see for your business and your life?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I am actually working on putting together a couple small digital products that can be more for those people who are not ready to hire yet. So, some little trainings or some little templates, some, I don't quite know what yet, but that's my goal, to find some way to serve the people who resonate with my approach, but who aren't necessarily ready for that investment yet. So, yeah, that's my
Yeah.
plan. Q4 is to be ideating and creating, and then
Yeah.
hopefully launching something next year.
Yeah. Very cool. I love it. You're taking some time to do it, right?
Yeah.
To just allow those ideas to come, to reflect on them. Because what we get today might be really, really great. But if we also like allow tomorrow's little seed to be planted and then the next
Yeah.
seed to be planted, it's like in a month from now, this what we got today might be completely different, but we needed this thought process to get us to that point. So it'll be super, super exciting to see what you bring out and offer your people.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's really cool to have like our ideal client is not just one person, so to speak. It's like her whole journey. And
Yeah.
so yeah, our ideal client is always the same. We're just speaking to different parts of her journey. That was a
Hmm.
really good quote I heard from somewhere. And that is
Love that.
a lot in business. Yeah. Um, but
Because we're always growing too. And so
yeah,
as we learn more, then we can turn around and share that thing we learned with the other, you know?
yeah. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we have to have all these offers. It just means that
Right.
over time you can create these other offers as you expand, right? And have the room
Yep.
and capacity to do that. And it
And
opens
if you
up
did
that.
your branding right, it's going to be able to grow and expand with you.
So true. That's awesome. Well, I hope I never grow out of my pink. I love my pink, but I totally get it.
I love
And
it
it is
too.
a bold move too. Yeah. I have a friend who branded herself and she used some pink and she had pink hair for years,
Nice.
for years. And just recently she cut it all off and like it's shorter
Oh.
and it's just blonde, no pink. And it's like, who is this person? But I mean, she's still the same person. But I don't know if she's gonna end up keeping the pink or not. But it definitely
Yeah, it
with her.
like bleeds. If you do it right, it bleeds into your life. Like the clothing that I choose, the color that my hair is, it all feels really in alignment with how my brand is showing up. It just makes sense because it's me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, I want to share before we go.
Okay.
I want to share because we're talking about pink and branding. So, my pink actually has an interesting story.
Oh, I'd
Over the
love to
past
hear this.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever really shared it with anybody, so this is cool. So over the past couple of years, I've been doing a lot of just reflecting on life and why I show up in the certain ways that I do, and what events in life had an impact, and this and that, right? Moving into marriage and then motherhood and then leaving my career, like there was just so many things about who I was, like how I showed up in life that changed. And
Mm,
through that, I started showing up more as like the boss, right? Like the boss in my home and my husband's at work, I'm with the kids.
yep.
Suddenly I did a business because I was at that time it was totally different. But I like needed something for me. And then so suddenly I'm showing up in this for way. And I had all of this like people will call it masculine energy, but it's just like
Mm,
the boss mode, right?
yeah.
But what I realized through that is I was showing up so much in that capacity that I kind of forgot how to be like visually. I still look, I still wear makeup and whatnot, but I wasn't as soft as I used to be. And
Mhm.
so I went to this conference with one of my mentors, and while I was there, I decided I would wear this bright pink lipstick to help me get in touch with more of my like feminine side. So every time I would go to the bathroom, I'd be reminded, like, oh, yes, soft. Like I can let go of some of
Mm.
that boss behavior, you know? And not that like we want to let go of it completely. We just want to have like,
We just need balance.
yes,
We
yeah,
just need balance.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that pink really helps me to find that balance again. And so
I
it's been now a
love
few
that
years,
story.
2 years. Yeah. So I still have my signature pink makeup, lipstick. And every time I go to that conference, I go twice a year, and serve on the leadership team there. So I always wear my pink lipstick. And yeah, so I
It
love
just like has become your signature. And like
it.
I'm sure
For
people
life.
remember the girl with the pink lipstick, and it means something to those who see you,
Yeah.
and it means something to you on the inside.
Yeah.
That's like
What's
that's
cool
the
is
perfect
exactly.
explanation.
And it's well, you get to use that story now whenever you're explaining
Okay,
it.
I love
Because
it.
what it shows too is that that is that lipstick I became known for, but I became known for it because of my inner, what did you call it? Identity led branding. I'm the one who did it for me. I didn't do it for them,
Exactly.
but it
Yes,
stuck with them.
exactly.
Oh man, this is such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much
Yes,
for coming, Shayna.
I've loved chatting with you. Same with you.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome. Well, we'd love to have you back anytime. And yeah, anything else you want to say before we head off today?
Please come get my Deepest Why workbook. I think everybody, no matter what point of business you're at, could benefit from going through that exercise. And then come chat with me in the DMs on Instagram. I would love to answer your questions about identity-led branding or just design in general. I love, like I said, making connections. So please just reach out. I'd love to talk.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we'll put all of Shayna's contact information in the description for you guys as well, so it's easy to find her. And she will also probably be plugging into the productive and profitable community in there around at the time.
I've been in there already. It's a
Yeah.
great community. I love
So
it.
yeah, so she'll be in there. You can ask any other questions too. And yeah, thanks again, Shayna. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. The Productive and Profitable channel is all about helping entrepreneurs grow wildly profitable businesses without sacrificing time with their families or the things they love. And we do this through top-notch trainings and community. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications button so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you're ready to dive deeper and take your business to the next level, be sure to join our free business community over on Facebook. Simply visit teresataylorcoaching.com and hit the community tab. We can't wait to see you over there.